Back in January 2025, the IRCC implemented two new set of rules wherein open work permit holders who are spouses of international students and foreign temporary workers are affected by these new rules. Now, the first rule is that if a person is a current international student holding a study permit, then the spouse of this international student is only able to apply for open work permit if the international student is on master's program that is 16 months or longer, taking a doctoral programs, and is taking any one of these eligible programs. As you can see in the screen here, these programs are only located in Quebec, in Ontario, Manitoba, and British Columbia. Now, if the program is outside of Quebec, then the person or the student should be taking a Francophone minority community student pilot. Hence, to those international students who were strategic with their choice of program when they applied back last year or even 2 years back, and they took a master's program that is 16 months and over, they will not be affected, or at least the open work permit, the spouses will not be affected by this new ruling, because then the spouses are eligible to apply for OWP. Now, if the student had already graduated and therefore the student is already on PGWP or post-graduation work permit, then a new set of rules were also implemented by the IRCC, wherein Tier 0 or 1 occupations, according to the IRCC, there are no job title or NOC restrictions as long as the PGWP holder is employed in either Tier 0 or 1 occupations, then the OWP is, or the spouse is eligible to apply for open work permit. Now, this is where it gets tricky. If the international student or the PGWP holder is not employed in Tier 0 or 1, and then the option is for the PGWP holder to be employed on either Tier 2 or Tier 3 occupations, and these are not all occupations on Tier 2 or Tier 3. There are only occupations that are eligible that you will find in this screen right now. If you would like to have the various list, the specific list, please go to the CIC website and just type Tier 2 and 3 occupations for spousal work permit. But in general sense, these occupations include natural and applied sciences, construction, healthcare, natural resources, education, sports, and military sectors. Let's dissect this information in consumable bits. So then, if you are a current international student, you should be master's program student, and therefore you do not have any problem with applying for OWP for your spouse. You're great, you're in a great position. But if you are in a diploma, if you are in a certificate, the program that you have right now, and you are an international student, your program is not in master's degree, then this is where it gets very tricky and problematic, because then your spouse is no longer suitable or eligible to apply for open work permit. And I can imagine that there will be problems when the work permit of your spouse essentially expires, you need to apply for extension, then that's when the problem really comes to happen. If the international student graduates this year, then the international student is essentially forced to find jobs in Tier 0, 1 or Tier 2 and 3, but only in eligible job descriptions and NOC. Now, according to the IRCC, if the current work permit holder essentially have their work permit expires and they need to apply for the extension, then the extension of the work permit will only be as long as the validity of the study permit of the international student. Therefore, the onus really is for the international student to apply for PGWP and find the jobs under Tier 0, 1 or eligible Tier 2 and 3. And what does this mean to work permit holders, to all work permit holders? Before your expiration or the work permit expiration reaches the end of it, you will definitely have to look for a PR job. And this is what I always say: do not stay in the province. If you are in a province that is utterly and unbelievably competitive, such as Ontario, really, do not stay in a province where there's so much competition. If you are able to decrease your competition by half as much as you can, then you win half of the battle. You have to look at different provinces. Yes, some of you will say that we already have our family here, we already have our children here, they're already studying here, we have got our apartment here, we're settled. But what is the purpose of all those things if you will not have any PR pathway in the province where you are right now? It's too competitive. You have to look at different provinces. You have to look at Manitoba. You have to look at Saskatchewan. You have to look at the Atlantic provinces and really plan it ahead of time. Do not wait for your spouse to finish the school. Do not wait for your work permit to require to be extended. Look for a different province, a province where there is more probability of getting a job offer with PR sponsorship. And so if you are an international student, a PGWP holder, or a work permit holder, even if you are on a closed work permit, go to questions.online. We have got free trial there. I certainly highly suggest you guys to avail the free trial. There's no harm in doing that. If you do not like the portal, you can definitely cancel anytime you want. Please make sure to cancel before the expiration of the trial period. Anyhow, so if you go to questions.online and say search caregiver or just say care and all categories, the portal will give you hundreds of different jobs under different PR pathways. There are PR pathways in the Saskatchewan Health Talent Pathway, or there are jobs under the Alberta Rural Renewal Stream. There are different jobs under the Atlantic Immigration Program. What does that mean? It means that all those jobs that are categorized under the rural renewal stream, for example, if you pass the interview and you land that job, it means that that company is eligible to sponsor you under the rural renewal stream. Now guys, there are two things here. There is the eligibility and there is the second part, which is their willingness to sponsor an applicant under such pathway. We have this subscriber. His name is John. I actually did publish a video about John wherein we are helping him prep for different interviews that he is being scheduled for. So far, he has been scheduled for 3 different interviews from 3 different provinces and 3 different companies. So the first company was in New Brunswick, the second company was in Alberta, and the third company was in Ontario. He actually just sent me an email a couple of days ago saying that he received another interview request as a general laborer in the construction industry for a company in Saskatchewan, and he was able to land all these interviews through questjobs.online. Right now, we are helping because what happened to John is that he's already had 3 interviews, but he was not too lucky landing the job. And when he sent us an email on his second interview saying that he did not land the job, that's the time I said something is not quite right. I think John needs help. And that's when I decided to have a call with him, and I told him, you know what, John, let's prep you with your next interviews. Please do not schedule the interview without telling me first, because we have to discuss things. We have to discuss about your position, about the company, etc., so that we maximize his probability of being considered by the company as an employee and therefore be able to apply for PR. So that's the story of John. And so going back to one of his interviews wherein the company is in the dealership of agriculture and construction equipments, the company is essentially eligible under the rural renewal stream in Alberta. Now this company, he found that Quest Jobs, and this company was there, and we definitely filter companies and communities to make sure that those companies and communities are eligible. The problem with this company is that the company did not sponsor any other position other than or heavy equipment operator, and John, being a general laborer, unfortunately was not in the list of positions that the company is able to sponsor. And because of that, John said, no, I will not be able to work for you because I need a sponsorship, which is fair enough for sure. And I didn't also want John to waste his time for a company that tells him right there that that they are not able to sponsor him under RRS. And therefore, another company in Ontario, wherein it's also a construction company. The only problem that we had with John there is that John is in British Columbia and the company is in Ontario, and that company was essentially looking for someone that was locally mobile. Now, Before the interview with that company, John and I had a video call, and I told John, you know what, if the company asks you about your mobility, you just say yes, you can move to Ontario immediately within 7 days, and that the company will not bear any cost, that John will spend all the cost, bear the cost of moving. This is to avoid any block from the detriment from the side of the company, thinking that they have to wait long time, thinking that they have to spend more money just to employ someone who is in BC, whereas they can employ someone in Ontario. But the thing is, John had a lot of competition already, and the company employed someone who was already in Ontario. And this is the second time this actually happened, because the company that had him interviewed in New Brunswick had the same kind of scenario. And right now, about 2 days ago, John received an email from a company in Saskatchewan. So this company is eligible for the International Skilled Pathway.